I'm Brooks.
I'm Joe.
And this is another episode of Cantina Reviews.
Today we're talking about Spider-Man Homecoming.
I thought we were talking about Skywalker wine.
So, Spider-Man is back.
Spiderman.
Yet again.
Yeah.
Hey,
what is this, the 7th installment? Something like that?
This is the 6th Spider-Man movie, the 7th Spider-Man live-action appearance. He was in Civil War. But this is the first Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man movie.
Yes. Which I thoroughly enjoyed it not being an origin story.
Yes.
So, yeah, spoiler alerts. We'll try to save them for the end. If they come out, they come out.
Yeah, this might be spoilers.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. So, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. We already logged your view at this point. But spoilers hopefully will be towards the end.
Yeah.
If not, don't watch the video until you see the big video.
Right, yeah. The movie was, first of all, to start, absolutely hilarious.
I loved it.
I would say this is, like, Marvel's funniest movie.
Yeah. I mean, like, I loved Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I thought Ant-Man was a good comedy because it had Paul Rudd in it.
Yeah.
This one was definitely funny.
Yeah.
Definitely funny, but it also had a good balance of, like, the tenser moments.
Yeah, it did, actually.
Spoiler right now. No, but yeah, it definitely had I wouldn't say it's a good balance, or it wasn't a bad balance.
Right.
There wasn't a balance between comedy and other stuff.
Right.
But it wasn't a bad showing of it being mostly comedy.
Right, because I would say, as far as, like, an actual exact balance, would be more like Spider-Man 2. It had its funny moments and lighthearted moments, but was probably directly balanced with drama.
Yeah.
This movie was more overwhelmingly fun, funny, but, like, when it does get tense and dramatic, it is very effective.
It really does it, yeah. Which, I would say, speaking of Spider-Man 2, which is one of debatedly the best Spider-Mans ever made, this one would have to top it, in my opinion.
When we went to the theater, we saw it last night, I said that. I was like, I'm seeing people say that this is the best Spider-Man movie. I was like, it would probably take a lot for it to beat Spider-Man 2 for me, and I would have to see it a few more times, obviously.
Yeah.
I feel like it did, because I was
I thought it was good.
I was laughing hysterically throughout the movie.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, cheap tricks or, like, realistically, like, Guardians of the Galaxy type comedy, like they're looking for the laugh in the Volume 2 Guardians.
Yeah.
It's like, it's there, you know it. You have to somewhat think about it, but it's to the point where it was well done.
It was like quality comedy.
It was.
I think, like, the look of this Spider-Man suit with, like, the moving eyes and stuff is so animated. Not, like, animated. Obviously, it's CGI, but, like...
You get more emotion out of the Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, so, like, you're getting, like, facial expression type stuff.
Yeah.
With those eyes. So, like, just watching him in, like, funny situations is really funny.
Well, like, I think, getting into some of the storyline of the movie, or some of the plot, I thought it was really good, or really well done, how they showed him in the beginning of the movie kind of just being like a third-rate, like, superhero.
Right.
He's helping old women cross the street and with directions. He's catching bike thieves and, stopping a carjacking when it really wasn't.
Yeah.
I think it's just good showing that, because the Spider-Man that we knew was, that mid-college, out-of-college age kid.
Yeah.
Like, he's somewhat a young adult, whereas now it's like that this is a teenager that we were supposed to have seen.
Right, yeah, and like even like, Spider-Man 1, Tobey Maguire 1, that was like an origin story, but I mean he pretty much went right into diving off of skyscrapers and fighting criminals with guns and robbers and all this kind of stuff. And we're seeing this 15-year-old Spider-Man help old ladies find where they're going.
Newly into the Spider-Man role.
Just seeing anything he could possibly do.
Oh, yeah.
And what's interesting about that too is he has no experience whatsoever being a superhero and no idea what to do. So when he gets himself into a bigger situation, which is, Michael Keaton as the Vulture, he gets totally stomped on multiple times.
Oh, yeah. Which is good in building him into what Marvel wants to do, which is make him the cornerstone of the newest generation of Avengers once this one kind of ends.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple encounters with the Vulture, it's just like, he could not be bothered.
No.
He, like, easily outsmarts him, and it's good to see him grow as a character, because in both those instances, and I'm sure as you know, Iron Man's in this movie. Tony Stark's kind of like a mentor towards him in this. In all those instances, maybe 2 or 3 times, because of the way the suit is designed with a tracker and like all this kind of stuff, because Tony made the suit. Iron Man's able to come in and save the day.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah, multiple occasions.
But then, spoilers, as the movie intensifies, I think it's even in the trailer that Tony takes the suit away at one point.
Yeah.
It's later in the movie. He's like, no, you're not going to do this. You're getting into too much trouble, basically.
Yeah.
And, like a key part of the movie, a key line was, Peter Parker says, well, I'm nothing without the suit. And he's like, if you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it.
Exactly.
That plays a really big role because then he ends up throwing on his homemade suit and doing the Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, and doing the same exact stuff that he would have done normally.
Going after the Vulture, and it reaches the point where he's in another situation where he's hoping Iron Man's going to swoop in and save him, but he doesn't have that tracker. Iron Man's got no idea what's going on. So he has to find it within himself to get out of the situation. Yeah. And he does. And it's a very nice build of the character. A nice slow build.
It was a good character progression. Whereas some movies that we've seen, it's just kind of, this is who this is. Yeah. And you don't really see them adapt and change.
Right. I feel like a lot of movies, whether it be these Marvel movies or any kind of movie where it's some kind of superhero, some kind of fighter, anything like that, you get the typical training montage and then they're them. Maybe they'll get beat in their first encounter. Yeah. But,
he got beat every time.
He got beat a lot.
Yeah, every time except, I guess the last one.
He got beat,
Which even then, he got pretty beat.
Yeah. And, he really had to grow throughout this movie, and that was what was really great.
Which I think is good for when they go to start, the next few movies where they're including him. Now he's established as a part of the crew, basically. Yeah. So he can be associated with the Avengers. Right. So now if you see him, it's not that weird, and you can see why he is the way that he is.
Again, in kind of spoiler territory, sort of, but I really liked the Vulture, Michael Keaton as the Vulture. Yes. He, first of all, this is a villain... This is a villain that, you would never think would be starting off a franchise with.
Yeah, the Vulture.
The Vulture who, in the old comics was just, this old bald guy flying around. I forget his whole deal.
Yeah, now it's, just a half-bald guy.
Yeah, now, he's got a pretty cool backstory and, a pretty cool reason to do what he's doing. Yeah. The movie starts in the aftermath of Avengers 1. And basically what it's showing is, long story short...
Age of Ultron.
No. In the aftermath of all of this alien weaponry and machinery being left in the streets of New York, it's allowed for these sort of underground criminals to profit off of it. Right. So he, in an effort to just support his family and get by, starts this kind of small
black market
type thing.
Yeah. Which is what I thought was cool. Was they touched on the smaller aspects of these big flagship movies? Is it's this huge battle destroyed part of New York. What happens with all of the rubble, Yeah. It's stuff you never really think about, and here it is. The stuff you never think about was the motivation for this character to become a villain, basically.
Right, yeah. They were able to create a whole villain's motivation and a whole movie, basically, based off of the idea of, what happened to all the stuff that got shot down in Avengers 1?
Yeah. What happens to all of the alien technology?
Yeah, And I thought that was really clever and a good idea. Yeah. But then also at the same time, you have a villain that you're a little conflicted about because, Michael Keaton is a beloved actor, Batman. Yeah. And then also, he plays the character so well and with a lot of intensity. But also you kind of, his motivations aren't the worst. Yeah, no. Yeah, he's selling very dangerous weapons. But killing people from time to time, But he's doing it to support his family.
Support his family, help his friends,
and it's touching on, how it kind of touches on the idea of, rich versus poor, you see Tony Stark from a different light because, he's kind of the Avengers, Tony Stark's rich already, and now they're going to get paid to clean up the mess that they made.
Right, yeah. See, a huge spoiler alert. So pause it or exit out. Yeah. Massive or like it, subscribe, whatever. Follow us on all the social medias. Yeah.
Massive spoiler.
Yeah. One huge twist and one surprise. That I won't classify as a twist, but I will classify as something where we're wow, yeah. So the first one is Vulture is exit out of the page. The father of the love interest of Peter Parker.
You don't see it coming at all. It's not really alluded to whatsoever. This is at the point in the movie where Iron Man has taken away his Spider-Man suit. Peter Parker's learning how to just be Peter Parker again.
Yeah.
You don't really think anything interesting is going to happen?
No, yeah, like this is the movie has moved on.
He gets the girl to go to homecoming with him. Mm-hmm. He shows up at her house to take... Oh, I did like the little montage of like him getting ready for the dance with Aunt May.
Yeah.
That was just
kind
of nice.
Yeah, it was like, he's a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He shows up at the house, and he opens the door, and there's the Vulture. And I'm like, he kidnapped her. How does he know who he is? But then it turns out he's just her father.
Yeah, I was smart enough to realize that it was her father the whole time.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it was quite the surprise. It's like he answers the door in normal clothes, so it's like...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And yeah, because
and of... hey, you must be Peter. Come in. And it's like...
Yeah, so basically because you think the movie has moved on, when you see him answer the door, you're like, I thought this was not done, but I didn't think it was going to go down this road of where he's going to be this close to the Vulture.
Yeah.
And much like talking about, the balance that wasn't really there, but it wasn't a bad balance, there's a scene where the Vulture talks to Peter as if, the father-daughter talk to the boyfriend talk.
Yeah.
And it was very intense.
And he's just like, he has clearly picked up on the fact that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he
knows.
Obvious clues that Peter's giving out, because Peter's, much like a kid would be in this situation, is freaking out very visibly. Mm-hmm. He's not doing a very good job at hiding it.
No.
Think back to the scene in Spider-Man 1 where right after the Green Goblin and Spider-Man fight in that burning building, and then Peter shows up for Thanksgiving dinner and Norman is there.
Yeah.
And there's that tense, Norman Osborn sees the cut on Peter's arm. And
maybe that's why they did it.
And he's figuring out that he might be Spider-Man. It's much like that scene, but you have a situation where it's like kind of reverse. Peter immediately recognizes him, and the Vulture's figuring it out.
Yeah.
But they kind of get right to it, and he's like, "So does my daughter know you're Spider-Man?"
Oh, no. It was like, "Does my daughter know?"
Right.
And he's like, "No, what?" He's like, "So she doesn't."
Yeah. And he's basically like, "You're gonna go in, you're gonna show my daughter a good time, and we're done here.
Yeah.
I'll kill everyone you love. I know who you are now."
He's basically just stay with my daughter.
Which was a great scene.
It was
just awesome.
It was well done.
And then, naturally Peter's like, nope. Throws on his makeshift Spider-Man suit, goes out, and then sure enough, Vulture has the Shocker as like a sort of, D-list Marvel villain.
Yeah, whatever.
Has made it
realistically, he didn't have to be there.
Like Vulture already wasn't the biggest Spider-Man villain you could have.
Yeah, so but then you have the Shocker.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel a bit. But it's kind of, diehard fans will be excited to see that someone like that come to film. He's got him waiting in the back of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, he told you, and he didn't listen, so now you're screwed. Leads to the big final battle, which is pretty awesome.
And then the type of moment was, you think this girl, Liz, who is his love interest throughout the whole movie, is just MJ with a different name.
Right.
Turns out the weird girl that's like not stalking him, but is like somehow always there.
Yeah.
Is MJ.
Yeah.
And like she says her name is whatever, and she's like, but people call me MJ. Everyone in the theater's like, there she is.
So they're planting the seeds. This is like, it's almost like, it almost feels like
gardeners made this movie and are planting all these seeds.
It's literally, the seeds have just entered the ground, the amount of stuff they have set up.
So this is Cantina Reviews, serving Skywalker's Vineyards.
Yes.
I'm Brooks, the bartender.
I'm Joe. Just here.
The dishwasher.
Yeah.
Glass washer. And this has been another episode of Cantina Reviews. And until next time,
I'm Brooks.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.